Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Paphos Project. Today we finally conclude the remodel of the kitchen and lounge wall. I demolished this wall months ago, thinking it would be a simple job, but as always, the house gods had other plans for me. As you may remember, I demolished the wall, creating a more open and light space for my lounge and kitchen. That resulted in exposed rebar and an uneven pillar on the side. So it's not just a simple plaster job, but instead a full restoration before I could go near it with the plaster. And even that challenged me in ways I wasn't quite ready for. With many other jobs taking priority, this ugly hole in my house was something that I had just learned to live with until I could get around to it. That time has finally come. Keeping the Aussie adage of "she'll be right, mate," I came up with a plan, and I think you'll be at least a little impressed with how well it turned out in the end. I know I certainly was.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to our old friend, the demolished wall. This got smashed out quite a few videos ago, well, feels like months ago, but it's something that I've not really been working on because we've been too busy working on the rest of the house with the electrics and the plumbing and everything else. I've got a couple days on my own at the moment, so I thought I'd do some of the prep work so that I can try and neaten this up. First problem is that this concrete here sticks out further than the pillar that's on the side of it, which I want to get flush to. So I'm going to chip that away today, and then I'm going to have a bit of a plan and think on how to build a frame so that I can align the top of that edge to that edge and build it back out again where that's been cracked off, and then hopefully get a nice straight edge around it so that I can plaster it and create a nice neat opening rather than just a giant hole in the wall. You'll also notice my lovely new Sith arm attachment that I've got here. That's basically an ongoing issue with some tendonitis that's come about from all the jackhammering, but there's not much I can do about that. This thing's actually really cool. Keeps everything nice and compressed and keeps the tendon in line, and it's been helping a lot. So I'm going to crack on. Wish me luck. See you soon. Thanks. So here we have a prime example of what I'm trying to do. So this is what I'm trying to get to. And in order to check if I can get past it, I thought I'd use a nice little straight edge like that. Problem is, as with every other wall in this house, yeah, okay. So basically it's gonna have to be eyeball. All right, well, that's that all tidied up. I ended up trying to chip off that bit of the plaster as well. Just it's going to give me more of a chance to create a neater edge. There aren't any straight walls in this house. They're either wavy, or they're off-center, or they're on a tilt, or everything's very much, it seems, been eyeballed, which is fine. You don't really notice it when you're in the house. It's only when you're measuring things up. So in order to get a bit of a neater edge on this, which I wasn't going to get with what was there before, as I said, I've taken that away. So now I need to try and figure out how to build a frame for it. Now, it's exactly 2 meters 10. I got the measurements just right for the top of that edge. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get a bit of lumber that I can wedge in here using my handy dandy little long wedgie tool thing. I'll show you in a minute. Get that offset by I'm thinking maybe a couple of inches or so. And then I'm thinking what I might do is I might drill some dowels into this, into the concrete, and then run some wire between those because I've got some downstairs. And then that might give it a bit more of a mesh to sit on when I put the concrete on. Then I'm going to put the first layer of concrete on so that I get a base layer and I get the foundations and the rebar covered and everything else. And then once that's dried and I've got that, then I can plaster over the rest of it. So I guess that's kind of the plan. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure I can hear some of you screaming in the comments already about how that's a terrible idea, but it is what it is. And this is the Paphos project, so we're trying things out that make logical sense in my brain. So wish me luck.
I ended up using a combination of wire mesh and wire strands held in place with concrete screws to create a kind of scaffold for the fiber mix to stick to. The thought here was that it would provide a better base for the mix to stick to and hopefully help with stability of the wall in the future.
I need to figure out how to build a kind of a frame around this so that I can get this level. I'm probably going to put a bit more chicken wire along here again, like I've done here, to give it something to adhere to. And then once I've figured out how to build the frame, I'm going to get the frame done. Once I've got the frame, I've got some really cool fiber reinforced plaster, mortar fix stuff. And then I'm going to build this back out and get it all adhered. And then hopefully we'll have a nice clean edge again. And then we'll get that side filled in as well. Chipped out first and then filled in. And then once that's done, we can plaster it and it should look nice. So that's the plan for today. Thanks.
I had these bed frame sides left over from the old bedroom furniture, and they ended up making a perfect base for the frame which would hold the fiber mix overhead. Due to the amount needed to create a level edge, there was no way to do this without some kind of a frame. At first, I didn't really consider that the concrete would flow out from the frame on the other side, so I just used some lumber to hold it in a position. I later redesigned the frame with more of an L shape with a rear backing so I could pack the mix in, pushing it without pushing it out on the other side. A bit more wire for additional support, a level check to align the frame with the wall, and we're ready to start mixing the mortar. The side pillar was first off the rank. I made use of the laser level to avoid any massive dipped or proud areas. Then I used the trowel to smooth the edges as well as I could. I think I'm getting pretty good at this stuff compared to my earlier attempts. Then I moved on to the overhead section. You can see me realizing my mistake here as I put the additional piece onto the frame in the background. With the frame in place, I'm ready to start pushing the mix into place to repair the damaged and chipped sections. Luckily, I caught another mistake and realized I needed to wet the area before pushing in the mix. With that done, and the first layer thrown on to help it bond, I replaced the frame and began pushing as much mix as I could into the gaps. I should have left a gap on the other side though, so I could fill it from that side, but it all worked out okay.
Right, time to take down the framing and see if this thing's worked. Fingers crossed. Clamp. And clamp number 2. And gloves, because there's the world of splinters in this thing. We've learned that lesson the hard way. Okay. Should be able to, yeah. All right. Okay. Partial success. All right, so this side's pretty good. We're gonna have to go around the other side. The other side hasn't really worked all that well, but we can fix that up. All right, 80%.
Well, here it is, a visual representation of my skill level at this point. It's a long way from perfect, but it's functional. The wires held everything in place and created a really great bond. So now I just have to fill in the gaps and make it all nice and neat so that I can move on to the render. Moving on to the other side wall. I have to chip away the loose mortar, which ended up creating a couple of really deep holes that I had to fill with bits of brick before filling it in with the fiber mix, making sure to leave enough of a dip to accommodate the plaster later. I really wish it had all been as easy and smooth as this section of the wall. I was feeling quite professional here, unlike earlier with the frame. After this, I had planned to leave everything to fully set and cure for about a week before at long last moving on to the rendering, but the bathroom slab got in the way of that, and we all know how that story ended.
Alrighty, jobs today. Get this thing finished off. Now I knocked this wall out, a couple months ago now, but I had the opportunity to work on a bunch of other stuff in the meantime, so it's just not been a priority. I've filled in all the gaps and the holes where the brick and the rebar was chipped off with some fiber reinforced concrete. Now I've got the laser level all set up, so I've got a good clean edge, and I'm going to chip the last little bits and tidy this up, and then I'm going to fill it with plaster and make it all nice and smooth. Once I've got that done, I'll do this sidewall. I'll have to reposition the laser. So I'm going to crack on. Thanks as always for watching, and let's go.
Now, I swear to you, I measured that plaster mix as per the instructions. I even used a scale and a measuring jug, but you can see it's way too loose and wet. That stuff was literally running down the wall like it was trying to get away. I ended up adding more powder to the mix and thickening it, but it was still a touch messy. As you can see from the video, I ended up looking like I lost a fight with a paint mixer.
My plaster was probably a bit too wet. As you can see in this clip that I'm showing now, it has all kind of sagged down and dripped off in parts and ended up looking quite a lot like the scene in the latest Stranger Things episodes. The office is melting in the underneath, or underside, or whatever, the other place thing. Anyway, long story short, quite a lot of drippy mess. It's not too bad. It has all dried solid. It has covered actually quite a lot of the gaps that were in there. So I'm going to get in there now with a sander, sand all the saggy bits down, sand all the floppy down bits down, make it all nice and smooth and get it ready for round 2. And then hopefully we can get to a point where we can get the laser level out and we can actually have it all matched up and neat and tidy. So I'm going to crack on with that now. See you in a bit.
Ding ding, round 2. This time with a thicker mix and a bit more experience, I got a solid layer of smooth plaster stuck to the previous layer. I'll take ongoing incremental improvements in my abilities as a successful outcome. This time the plaster stayed mostly in place, and I was able to get a good finish on the flat sections. The corners were still giving me lots of trouble though, and I haven't quite got my head around how to get them right. I also realized that this was not going to be a 2-round fight. I was going to have to go the distance to get this wall to a standard that I would be happy to live with.
We've had a win. Makes a nice change from the usual trials and tribulations that we have on this project, but we do have them. The bathroom is looking schmick. I've managed to keep that nice and moist, and the concrete is curing beautifully. There's pretty much not any sign of any cracking at all. There is a couple little surface bits, but I'm not worried about those. I'm going to be putting some self-leveling compound over the top of that. It's going to be beautiful. Really happy with it. Win number 2. 2 in one day. Who would have thought it? Although it has taken 4 layers of plaster so far, we're pretty much here on the laser level for this wall hole entrance area thing into the kitchen where I smashed out the wall. It does tell me I should probably use a bit more concrete underneath the wire mat or over the wire mesh to start with, but that's okay. So today I'm going to be sanding that back. If you hopefully see the laser level along here, it's pretty much all there. There's a couple of mil here, but I think we should be all right. It's probably going to need one last skim, but we're nearly there. So that's the job for today. I'm going to get the sander out. I'm going to get that all sanded back nice and smooth and see where the issues are, mark those up, and then we're going to check the sidewall. And then this room's nearly done. Only 2 jobs left to do, really, before painting. But that's the whole house thing, which is going to be this little section of floor tiling, which is going to be my first ever try at tiling, and that should be fun. And also putting the electrical sockets in and wiring those up. So I'm going to get on with things, so wish me luck.
Giving the whole area a good sand let me use the laser level to see where I still had small dips that needed to be made plumb. I marked each area up to let me know if it was just a little dip or if it needed a bit more to make the wall level. These marks really helped, as the white plastic can be difficult to check using just your eyes. We have the tools to rebuild it better, stronger, and more beautiful. If you're enjoying the videos and want to help me reach my 200 subscribers before my birthday, please do click the subscribe button and maybe even the like button too, so you can follow along on the project.
I've got a green line that goes from one end of the hole to the other. That's the plaster done for now. I still obviously need to let it dry, and then I'll sand it back and make it nice and smooth and neat. But I think we're going to call that a win. It's 4 p.m. on a Friday night, so it's getting a bit cold. As you can see, got multiple layers on. Well, Cyprus cold, so about 10 degrees Celsius. Not sure what that is in freedom units. But basically, I think we're good. So from now, I'm going to go out, meet some friends. We're going to have a couple of beers. And then I will get back to it in a day or two when that's dried out. I got other work to do in the meantime, but that's good for now. So, see you soon.
Wow. Well, this is going really well, actually. I'm really happy now. I have noticed one danger with this laser level. I'm getting excessive. We're talking fractions of a millimeter between perfect and not quite right, and I keep trying to get there. I'm just going to call this good enough. I'm super happy with it. It's probably straighter and neater than any other wall in the house. So the plastering of the hole in the wall is officially done. Thanks. I know it's a hole in the wall, essentially a lack of something, but it's the best looking nothing I've ever made. Next video coming up is going to be me wiring up all of the electrics, the boiler and the water pump, so I hope to see you all there. Until then, thanks for watching and see you soon.